Hello friends. So today's topic is on middle ear. It's an important essay question, but more frequently it is asked as a short note. I'll tell you which part is being asked as a short note. So frequently there are many university papers that I have seen with a question in middle ear. And since you people have 10 short notes this time, short note from middle ear is highly possible. So please pay attention. And before I start off with the session, I would like to tell one thing. If you are going to attend this session, please make sure you are in a fresh mood. You have the capacity to just take in all the things, whatever is being told now. Because middle ear is going to be very volatile, but I have tried my best to make it as simple and also interesting too. So you require a visualizing mind wherein you take yourself into your middle ear cavity and you are going to study things. So that should be your level of activity in the brain. But it is quite simple. Let me get started with the session. So the agenda, going through university papers, essay mostly had been asked in these side headings. As I always say, there should be some small introduction that you give when a question is asked on essay. And here, what are the specific topics that you need to study is communication. That is anteriorly how it is going to communicate and how it is going to communicate posteriorly. The subdivisions of your middle ear, boundaries, which is the short note that I was talking about, muscles, blood supply, lymphatic drainage, nerve supply. So from your nerve supply, you can expect an MCQ. I'll be telling you that point also. So please pay attention. So for your boundaries, you require that visualizing skill wherein you take yourself into middle ear cavity. So getting started with a small introduction. Middle ear cavity is an air-filled cavity which is present between your external ear and internal ear. That is, it is sandwiched between external ear and internal ear. It is cubical in shape and it is compressed from side to side. So if you take this particular picture, the middle ear cavity is being compressed from side to side and it is going to be a cubical in shape and it is air-filled cavity. So these are the introductory points that you must include. Now, moving on to communications. So this is a very good picture I got from Google, which will explain you in simple how anteriorly your middle ear cavity communicates and how posteriorly your middle ear cavity communicates. So if you take, this is your middle ear cavity and this is your anterior relation, this is your posterior relation. So from this picture, you can understand your anteriorly, your middle ear cavity is going to communicate via your pharyngotympanic tube. So if you take the name of the tube, it contains of two parts. Pharyngo, which means it refers to pharynx, and your tympanic, which means refers to your middle ear cavity. So which means this tube, which is present anteriorly to the middle ear cavity, it establishes a communication between your middle ear cavity and then your pharynx. So how to simplify how you're supposed to write is, middle ear cavity anteriorly, it communicates to nasopharynx via your pharyngotympanic tube. Again, I will repeat, your middle ear cavity anteriorly communicates with your nasopharynx via your pharyngotympanic tube, or this is also called as auditory tube. So this is what you must know. So anterior communication to your nasopharynx via your pharyngotympanic tube. Posteriorly, if you take, so this is the middle ear cavity. So if you take the posterior relation, you have something called mastoid antrum and then mastoid air cells. So these structures are concerned with your mastoid process. Okay, so posterior communication is to mastoid antrum and the mastoid air cells, and anteriorly to your nasopharynx via your pharyngotympanic tube. Here you must understand one thing. So if you take, this is your middle ear cavity, and you're able to appreciate there is one tube-like structure which connects or which takes the middle ear cavity to your mastoid antrum. So if you take your mastoid antrum starts only here, and here you have your middle ear cavity. So in between you have one structure that is called as additus ad antrum. Okay, so we have additus to mastoid antrum, right? So the structure which posteriorly connects your middle ear cavity to your mastoid antrum is called as additus. So you need to write in posterior relation middle ear cavity is communicating to mastoid antrum via your adytus. Anteriorly, middle ear cavity is communicating with nasopharynx via your pharyngotympanic tube or your auditory tube. I hope you are clear with the communication. So we have seen the introduction, we have seen the communication. Again, I'll repeat the communication: anteriorly to nasopharynx via your pharyngotympanic tube, posteriorly to the mastoid antrum via your adytus. Next, moving on, your subdivisions. This is a very good picture to explain subdivisions. So your tympanic cavity can be divided into three zones. That is your epitympanum, mesotympanum, and hypotympanum. So before going on to how this has been divided and all, you should know something called tympanic membrane, which is going to mark the beginning of tympanic cavity. So you will have your external ear, then you will have your external auditory meatus, and then you will have your tympanic membrane from which your tympanic cavity or middle ear cavity begins. Okay, so this subdivision is studied. So if you take, you're able to appreciate two red dotted lines here. So this is one red dotted line, this is one another red dotted line, right? So the subdivisions of tympanic cavity are studied with respect to tympanic membrane. That's why you take the name tympanum is given here. Epi means above, meso means middle or at the level, hypo means below. So epitympanum means above the region of tympanum, meaning above the region of tympanic membrane. So this region is your epitympanum. Mesotympanum is going to lie within the zone of a tympanic membrane, and below is your hypotympanum. So your tympanic cavity has been divided into three divisions with respect to your tympanic membrane. Region above tympanic membrane is called epitympanum. Region at the level or covering the tympanic membrane is called mesotympanum, and the region below the tympanic membrane is called as your hypotympanum. Now you should know what are the contents that are present. 2 or 3 contents is more than enough. So these are your ear ossicles. I have not covered ear ossicles here because that is not mostly asked as a part of subdivision in a essay question, but you can study. I'll try to make it simple. So you all know your middle ear cavity, it contains 3 ear ossicles: malleus, incus, stapes. So this bone is your malleus bone, this is your incus bone, and this is your stapes bone. And to mark some parts, this is your head of your malleus, this is your neck of your malleus, and this zone constitutes your handle. So head of malleus, neck of malleus, and then handle of malleus. These are the 3 parts. This is your incus bone. So this portion is your body of the incus bone. Like it somehow, somewhat resembles to your neuron. So if you take, it resembles your cell body, right? So you can remember like that. Incus, if you take, this is your body, and this is your short process of your incus, and this is your long process of your incus bone. So head, neck, handle, body, short process, long process, and this is your stapes bone. So what you need to understand is, what are the structures present with your epitympanum? What is the structure that is present in your mesotympanum? So if you take epitympanum, head of the malleus, neck of the malleus, and for your incus, body and then short process. So your head and neck of the malleus, and then your body and short process of your incus, these 4 structures are concerned with your epitympanum. Now mesotympanum, so this is your, so you are able to appreciate the handle of malleus, the long process of incus, and then the entire stapes bone. So these 3 structures are concerned with mesotympanum, and hypotympanum, you do not have any significant structure. So again, I'll repeat, based on the location of tympanic membrane or with reference to tympanic membrane, your tympanic cavity is divided into 3 regions: your epitympanum, your mesotympanum, and then hypotympanum. Contents of epitympanum includes your head and neck of malleus, your body and short process of incus. And then your mesotympanum, you have your handle of malleus, long process of incus, and then stapes. And hypotympanum, you do not have any significant structure. Okay, so these are the 3 subdivisions of your tympanic cavity. So communications we have completed, subdivisions we have completed. Now moving on to boundaries. So this is what I told you, require that visualization. You need to take yourself into the room of middle ear cavity and all. Actually see, you can study this boundaries in two ways. One way, see, this is the picture that almost all books give, right? From a Gray's Anatomy to every textbook, this is the picture that is given. So either you can simply practice this diagram for 5 times. So the 6th time you will be able to reproduce. And of course, contents you can memorize along with your diagram. So first method, simply memorize, reproduce, which is not going to help you in any way. To be honest, I did the same thing. I was not able to understand. So in my first year, I did not have that much time to actually visualize myself into a room of middle ear cavity and do things. So actually I memorized and I was able to do something. But to be honest, when I took this topic to take a webinar, I wasn't able to recollect many facts. Then I understood I did not study this properly. But now I'm very clear, because you visualize yourself into the room of middle ear cavity. So I'm going to simply tell you, you will not be able to understand. I have tried my level best to actually bring you inside the middle ear cavity room. So see, this is your middle ear cavity picture. And here there is a beautiful old couple with a rope tied, right? So you can frame your own stories, gangsters, kidnapped, all that. I'll tell my simple story. So gangster had kidnapped this old couple. Of course, when gangsters kidnap, they understand, that is, they are going, the victims, they become unconscious, right? So the middle ear cavity door has been opened. So here you will be having your anterior wall, right? It has been opened, and this couple had been thrown inside the middle ear cavity. They're opening their eyes and they are having a look around their room. So when they are having a look around the room, to the left side, they're able to see some structure. In medical terms, medially, they are able to see it is related to your inner ear, right? So your oval window, round window, and your bony part of your inner ear is to their left, meaning to their medial side. And laterally, they are able to see a membrane that is called as tympanic membrane. And in roof, they are able to see a bony plate. Okay. And then in floor, they are able to see some structures. So you need to visualize like this. Okay. Now, this picture, I have tried to put it in a 3D way. So if you take this picture, is being rotated anti-clockwise in 90 degree, which means this had been turned. So what will happen? I have told initially, this is your medial wall. This will come to the back side. Okay, so this is your anterior wall, roof, floor, posterior wall, medial wall. Again, I'll repeat this story here. Gangster, he had kidnapped a old couple. That gangster, he had made this couple unconscious, and he had put them inside the middle ear cavity room. Okay, so if you take your room will contain a door. So here door is going to be the anterior wall. So he has opened the anterior wall and he has put them inside. So after some time, this old couple is gaining consciousness and they are seeing around whatever is present. So to the left side, they are able to see structures of inner ear. So your medial relation, in simple, I have told now itself, the structures related with your inner ear. Laterally, I have told it is related to your tympanic membrane. And roof, I have told some bony prominence, which we'll be seeing in detail. And you have your floor, posterior wall, anterior wall. Okay, now this particular middle ear cavity is being rotated 90 degree anti-clockwise. So it is making a turn like this. So what will happen? Your lateral wall will come to the front, which is going to be reflected open now. And the anterior wall, which would have been present here, would have gone here. And the medial wall had come here. So this is what I am depicting in the picture. Okay, so if you take first point introduction, I told your middle ear cavity is a cubical in shape. So you will have 6 faces. So if you take this yellow man should be you right now. Okay, so this is your roof, floor, anterior wall, posterior wall, medial wall, and your lateral wall is going to be the room for this room. So it is going to be the door for this room. So it has been reflected open. Okay, so kadava eppadi tharandachu. Okay, now I want you all to be in this position. So just imagine in front of you, you have your anterior wall, back side you have your posterior, top floor, so top roof, bottom floor, and to your left you have medial wall, right side you have your door that is reflected open, that is your lateral wall. Okay, so boundaries, you have your roof, floor, medial wall, lateral wall, anterior wall, posterior wall. You need to know what are the structures concerned with this. I hope you have got some orientation with this picture, with this particular 3D model. Okay, so I hope you all have gone into middle ear cavity now, like this beautiful old couple. Now we will see about roof. So if you take, now there is yellow man is standing here like this. So this is the anterior wall, this is the posterior wall, this is the roof, this is the floor, this pink color is your medial wall, and this is your lateral wall. So the door has been opened. So first thing is looking up, okay, which means he is looking at the roof. So in roof, there is going to be one important structure called tegmentum tympani. I told he was able to see some bony structure, right? So what is this tegmentum tympani is? It is a thin bony plate that separates tympanic cavity from the middle cranial fossa. Just take this point. We will in detail teach you about the cranial cavity. That time you'll be able to understand with the cranial cavity picture. Now you just understand the roof is made by tegmentum tympani, which is a thin bony plate that separates your middle ear cavity from your middle cranial fossa. And one more additional point about this tegmentum tympani, it also forms roof of your adductus ad canal. So we saw this. This is a particular structure that is going to give communication to your mastoid antrum, adductus, right? So middle ear cavity, so posteriorly it is related to mastoid antrum through your adductus. Okay, so if you take, this is your tegmentum tympani. If you see this picture, you're able to understand. So it forms the roof of middle ear cavity. Also, it extends little bit posteriorly to form the roof of adductus also. This is your adductus. So roof of adductus is also formed by your tegmentum tympani. Your roof of middle ear cavity is also formed by your tegmentum tympani. So what is tegmentum tympani? It is a thin bony plate that is going to separate middle ear cavity, that is your tympanic cavity, from your middle cranial fossa. So this is regarding roof. So if you draw this diagram under roof, if you are going to write this structure alone, it is more than enough and define. Okay. Next, moving on to floor. So imagine that yellow color person is looking down now. First, he has seen upwards. He wasn't able to appreciate many structures. So he was bored of roof. Then he came to floor now. Coming to floor, what are these structures? So it is very simple. Floor also, you do not have much relation. Now, why I put this structure is I want you to understand one thing now. So this is the cranial cavity. So we will not go in detail into cranial cavity. You'll just see the relations alone. So if you take floor, so this part is your floor, right? So if you take, there is something called bulb of internal jugular vein. So if you take this internal jugular vein, is almost related to your floor of tympanic cavity, but it is not a content of tympanic cavity. Always remember this. So if you take this picture, this internal jugular vein is not inside the floor, but it is going to be related to the floor, right? So how this internal jugular vein is going to be separated from tympanic cavity is by again a thin bony plate. So if you take this bone, this brown color thing is your bone. Okay, so floor, the first relation that you will write is the bulb of internal jugular vein is separated from the tympanic cavity by means of a thin bony plate. Like how we saw in the roof, there was a tiny bony plate that separated middle cranial fossa from the middle ear cavity. Similarly, there is going to be a thin bony plate that is going to separate your floor from your bulb of internal jugular vein. The name is not specified here, so you just write thin bony plate. The next very important structure that you must know is about tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve. So for that, for people who want honors and distinctions, it's better if you write this point. So if you take the tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve is going to pierce the floor. Okay, so if you want, you can complete with this itself. So the tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve is going to pierce the floor and involve in the formation of tympanic plexus. See, plexus is nothing but group of nerves. Okay, so tympanic plexus is group of nerves in your tympanic cavity. So there is going to be something called tympanic plexus formation, which we'll be seeing in the further slides. So one of the nerve that forms this tympanic plexus is tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay. So this tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve is going to enter the tympanic cavity by piercing the floor of tympanic cavity. If you want, you can stop here, or you can add one more extra edge point to this. The tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve, it pierces the floor of tympanic cavity between your carotid canal and then your jugular foramen. So this is your jugular foramen, this is your carotid canal. So in between these two structures, your glossopharyngeal nerve is going to enter. Okay, so if you want, you write this. Okay, again I'll repeat the point. Your tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve, it pierces the pierces the floor of the tympanic cavity between the carotid canal and the jugular foramen for the formation of tympanic plexus. If you find this point complicated, you can make it as simple. Tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve pierces the floor of the tympanic cavity and get involved in the formation of tympanic plexus. If you're confused, better you need not write this carotid canal and jugular foramen and all, you can leave. Okay, so I hope I'm clear. Floor, two things. Thin bony plate that is going to separate the bulb of internal jugular vein from your middle ear cavity, and the tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve pierces the floor of the tympanic cavity and gets involved in the formation of tympanic plexus. And your roof, you have your tegmen tympani, which separates your middle cranial fossa from your middle ear cavity. So I hope you are clear with the roof and the floor. So now moving on to the front of that yellow person, that is your anterior wall. So this is your anterior wall, right? So this is your anterior wall. You remember yellow man was standing here, right? So anterior wall is very simple. We have only two openings. So if you take, again it is formed by a thin bony plate. And like how we saw here bulb of internal jugular vein, so there's a thin bony plate that separated bulb of internal jugular vein from the tympanic cavity at the floor. Similarly, the anterior wall, if you take, it is related to your internal carotid artery. Okay, you have carotid canal close by. If you remember the cranial fossa diagram that I showed. So, at the lower part of the anterior wall, okay, so if you take this is the upper part, this is the lower part. So, if you're able to see this particular shade alone, at the lower part of your anterior wall, there is a thin bony plate that separates your internal carotid artery from your middle ear cavity. Okay, so anterior wall is made up of thin bony plate again. But in the lower part, what is its function? It just separates the internal carotid artery from your middle ear cavity. Whereas if you take the upper part, you have two things there. One thing, it has two openings. Okay, so one opening is for muscle called tensor tympani, which we'll be seeing in the coming slides, and another opening for the auditory tube. So we saw your middle ear cavity is going to communicate to your nasopharynx via your pharyngotympanic tube, your auditory tube. So this tube is going to go via the anterior wall via an opening called tubal opening. So the anterior wall is made by a thin bony plate. So at the lower end of the anterior wall, it separates the internal carotid artery from the tympanic cavity. And the upper part, you have two openings present. One opening is for origin of tensor tympani muscle and the other is for the auditory tube. Okay, this is about your anterior wall. Next, posterior wall. So if you take behind that yellow person, okay, so this portion is your posterior wall. Okay, so this is your posterior wall. So what are the structures? So we will go from top to bottom. Okay, so if you take first structure that you will see is the additus ad antrum that we have already seen. So it is going to give communication between your middle ear cavity and then your mad antrum, right? So that is your additus ad antrum. So it gives a communication between middle ear cavity with your mastoid antrum. And below the additus antrum, you are going to have a depression called fossa insudis. Okay, you are going to have a depression called fossa insudis. So somewhere here, okay, so that is not in your picture, but understand First is your adductus ad antrum, which we have seen. The second will be your fossa insudis. So what is this fossa insudis? Is a small depression that is present just below the adductus ad antrum. So if you take this is your adductus ad antrum, so we are going to have a small depression that is going to be present just below your adductus ad antrum. Okay, that is called as fossa insudis. Why there is a depression below adductus ad antrum is because it lodges the short process of the incus. I told this is a lateral wall. So what will happen? This is a door, right? So this has to close. So when it closes like this, the short process of your incus is going to be related to this posterior wall. Okay, so the adductus ad antrum, below you are going to have a depression that lodges your short process of your incus. That is why it is called as fossa insudis. Incus, right? Fossa means a depression. So fossa insudis. Why? Because due to lodging of short process of incus bone. So this is the second structure. The third structure is going to be pyramid. So this is P stands for pyramid. What is this pyramid is? It is a small bony projection. So if you take it, comes out as a projection here, right? So this is your bone. Again, this is a bone. So you have some projection here. It is a small bony projection that gives origin to stapedius muscle. Understand, in your middle ear cavity, you will be having two muscles. One is called tensor tympani, another one is called as stapedius. We'll be studying about this muscle now in 3 or 4 more slides. So for your take this thing, tensor tympani, I have already told you this opening for tensor tympani is at your anterior wall. And at your posterior wall, you have a structure called pyramid that is going to give what? Attachment or your origin to your stapedius muscle. So we have seen adductus ad antrum first, then we have seen the fossa insudis, we have seen the pyramid. The next one, here we have written something called as your facial canal, right? So you have something called as facial canal. So canal, which is going to give rise to entry of facial nerve. Okay, this again we'll study in detail in your facial nerve. Just understand, your facial nerve is going to travel via your middle ear cavity via a canal, and this canal is related to your posterior wall of middle ear cavity. And then you have something called canaliculus for chorda tympani. So in tongue, I have told you about this sensation. Special sensation of your anterior two-thirds of the tongue is taken by your chorda tympani nerve, which is a branch of facial nerve, right? So this is the entire thing is your facial canal. So if you take facial nerve is going to travel down, and it is also going to give rise to a branch. Okay, so that branch is your chorda tympani that is going to be related to your canaliculus. Okay, so canaliculus for chorda tympani. Canaliculus again a canal that gives passage for that particular nerve. Okay, so adductus ad antrum, fossa insudis, pyramid, canal for facial nerve, canaliculus for chorda tympani. If you're going to see this picture, you bring yourself into this picture and you can study in order, you will not forget anything. Or if you're not able to memorize in order, I can give you an acronym. Anatomy, physiology, CAS for cranium. Adductus ad antrum, anatomy. Pyramid, P, physiology. So anatomy, physiology. CARES, C-A-R-E-S. Okay, so it CAR, that is canal for facial nerve. For, F for fossa insudis. For cranium. Okay, meaningless acronym, but you can easily remember. Anatomy, physiology, CAS for cranium. Okay, if you are not ready to accept this acronym, you need to accept this order. So first thing adductus ad antrum, followed by fossa insudis, followed by your pyramid, facial canal, and then canaliculus for your chorda tympani nerve. Okay, next we are moving on to medial wall. This itself is a very, very important short note, medial wall of middle ear cavity. So repeated short notes in your university exam. So I told this pink color is your middle ear cavity. And if you remember that beautiful old couple, to their left side, we add the medial wall of middle ear cavity, right? So, and I told you that itself, your medial wall of middle ear cavity is related to your bony parts of your inner ear. So if they ask medial wall, you can write this as a first point. The medial wall of the middle ear cavity is related to the bony part of your inner ear. Okay, so what are the structures that you're able to appreciate is something called as promontory. So this oval structure which is marked as your PM. That is called as your promontory. Okay, we'll see what are all these. And the second structure is your oval window. And the third structure is your round window. Fourth is your sinus tympani. And you will have two things. Now, the first thing, oblique part of your facial canal. So these are the prominences, and then your lateral semicircular canal. So if you take, this is your prominence of your facial canal oblique part. This is your prominence of lateral semicircular canal, oval window, round window, sinus tympani, promontory. That's it. Okay. We'll go one by one. So the first major structure is your promontory. So if you take, you are able to appreciate the structure now, right, about promontory. So promontory, if you take, it is going to be a rounded prominence. So if you take, it is going to somewhat it is oval or round in shape. So it is a rounded prominence. Why is there a prominence? This rounded prominence is because of the first basal turn of cochlea. If you remember what you would have studied in your +1, +2 about the inner ear, cochlea, it is going to be in many turns, right? Like a shell, I can say. Okay, like a lollipop that is available for that 20 rupees or 30 rupees, that big round thing, that is your, that resembles your cochlea. So if you take this promontory is nothing but a rounded prominence. Why is there a rounded prominence? Because of the first basal turn of the cochlea. That is called as your promontory. So we'll define a promontory, a rounded prominence in the medial wall of the middle ear due to the first turn of cochlea. That is called as promontory. Next, we are moving on to oval window. So with reference to promontory, we will be describing the location of oval window, round window. You will be able to say now. So if you take, this is your promontory, and here O stands for oval window and R stands for round window. So if you take oval window, this is going to be above and behind the promontory. And your round window is going to be below and behind the promontory. Just remember, oval window is above and behind the promontory. Round window is below and behind the promontory. And this oval window is called as fenestra vestibuli. Fenestra vestibuli. And your round window is called as fenestra cochleae. So promontory, oval window, which is also called fenestra vestibuli, it is located above and behind the promontory. Round window, which is called as fenestra cochleae, is located below and behind the promontory. Next, in between this oval window and round window, you have some lines that are appearing. That is called as sinus tympani. Very, very important. What is the sinus tympani is? The region between oval window and round window. So from this picture, it is understandable, right? Oval window, round window, in between this, you have the structure. So the region between oval window and round window. Now with promontory, where these two windows are located, behind the promontory, right? So obviously sinus tympani is also going to be behind the promontory. So it is the region present between your oval window and round window and behind the promontory, that is formed because of posterior semicircular canal. That is called a sinus tympani. Again, I'll repeat, the region between oval window and round window and behind your promontory formed by your posterior semicircular canal. To be more specific, ampulla of the posterior semicircular canal. You'll be learning what is ampulla and all in inner ear when it is taken in the next session. You just know these terminologies. Okay. So sinus tympani is, it is a region between oval window and round window behind your promontory formed by your ampulla of your posterior semicircular canal. And you have two prominences, your oblique part of your facial canal. So if you take this is your oblique part, so your facial, what is going to happen is this facial canal from your cranium part, it is going to come downwards and it is going to run backwards. So if you take, this is your cranial cavity, so it comes like this, it runs downwards and backwards, right? And it is going to be related to your posterior wall of your middle ear cavity. Now we saw the facial canal, your canalicularis and all we saw, right, in your posterior wall. So this prominence of a oblique part of a facial canal is seen in your medial wall. So this prominence, it runs downwards, backwards, and it is continuous with the posterior wall of your middle ear cavity. And you have one more prominence for your lateral semicircular canal. Last is your lateral wall. So lateral wall, if you take, you have nothing much. You should mainly not talk about your tympanic membrane. So your lateral wall is related to your tympanic membrane. And next, your chorda tympani nerve is also related to your lateral wall of your tympanic cavity. Here you should know something called anterior canaliculus, posterior canaliculus. Your chorda tympani nerve is going to enter your middle ear cavity via your posterior canaliculus. Because if you take, you just close this door. If you observe this picture, I'll go back to this picture. So if you take a facial canal, it will come from the posterior part. Okay. So it is going to enter the middle ear cavity via your posterior canaliculus. Somewhere from your cranial cavity, it comes posteriorly. So it enters the middle ear cavity via your posterior canaliculus, which is related to your posterior wall, somewhere here, right? And it is going to leave the middle ear cavity via an anterior canaliculus. So enters via your posterior canaliculus and leaves your middle ear cavity via your anterior canaliculus. This is what you must know with respect to your lateral wall. So tympanic membrane and about chorda tympani, where you have to mention about this chorda tympani, posterior canaliculus and anterior canaliculus. So we will move on to muscles. Before moving on to muscles, I want to revise this boundaries again. So just close your eyes, take yourself into middle ear cavity and listen to what I am saying. So if you take, our middle ear cavity is going to be cubical in shape. So you are going to have 6 walls. So roof, floor, anterior wall, posterior wall, medial wall and lateral wall. So imagine that beautiful old couple. So mala, they are going to see a bony plate that is called as tegmen tympani. What is this tegmen tympani? It is nothing but a thin bony plate that is going to separate your middle cranial fossa from your middle ear cavity. And to add one more point, it also forms roof of adductus ad canal. Next, coming to floor, so he is looking downwards. There is again he is able to see a thin bony plate that separates the middle ear cavity from your bulb of internal jugular vein. And you have tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve that pierces the floor of the middle ear cavity and involves in the formation of tympanic plexus. Next, anterior wall. So that yellow man standing right in front is able to see again a thin bony plate, but this time in the lower part of your thin bony plate, he is able to see that the internal carotid artery is separated from the middle ear cavity, that is room, by this thin bony plate. And upper part of this thin bony plate, he is able to see 2 openings. One opening for your tensor tympani muscle, another opening for your auditory tube to pass through. Next, posterior wall, anatomy physiology cares for cranium. Or if you want to remember in order, the first structure is going to be adductus ad antrum, which is going to help in the communication of middle ear cavity with your mastoid antrum. And below the adductus ad antrum, you have a depression that is formed because of lodging of short process of incus, that is called as fossa insudis. Next, you have a pyramid, which is a small bony projection that gives origin to your muscle called stapedius. Next, you have a canal for facial nerve and you have canaliculus for your chorda tympani nerve. So this is your facial canal, this is your canaliculus for your chorda tympani nerve. Next, medial wall. It's an important university short note. So first thing, you are able to observe a rounded prominence formed because of first turn of cochlea, that is called as promontory. Above and behind the promontory, you have oval window, which is also called as fenestra vestibuli. And below and behind the promontory, you have a window called as round window, which is called fenestra cochleae. And the region between the oval window and round window, behind your promontory, where it is related to ampulla of your posterior semicircular canal, it is called as sinus tympani. and you have two prominences, oblique part of your facial canal and prominence of your lateral semicircular canal. Finally, lateral wall, you have your tympanic membrane related and cauda tympani nerve, which enters the tympanic cavity from your posterior canaliculus and leaves the tympanic cavity via your anterior canaliculus. With this, your boundaries are over. Now coming on to the second part of our essay question, that is your muscles. Okay, so muscles, we saw two muscles, right? What were the muscles? We saw something called as tensor tympani and we saw another muscle called as stapedius. So if you take, this is your anterior relation and this is your posterior relation, this is your middle ear cavity. Okay, so you all know anteriorly it is related to your auditory tube, posteriorly it is going to be continuous with your mastoid antrum. So you should know in the muscles what all you must know. As usual, origin, insertion, here you should know nerve supply. Okay, origin of tensor tympani. Okay, tensor tympani. Okay, so insertion is going to be inside your tympanic cavity. Okay, so origin is going to be from the cartilage of your auditory tube. Okay, so anteriorly what structure is related? Your auditory tube. So from auditory tube, where it is going to arise is from the cartilages of your auditory tube. Your tensor tympani muscle is going to originate. So this is your tensor tympani muscle. So it originates from your cartilage of your auditory tube, where it is going to be inserted. It is going to be inserted into your andle of malleus. So if you take, this is your malleus bone and this is your andle. Okay, so it is inserted into your andle of malleus. So origin is from your cartilage of your auditory tube and insertion is inside your andle of malleus. Nerve supply is from your mandibular nerve. We have seen origin, we have seen insertion, mandibular nerve. Cartilage of your auditory tube, andle of malleus, mandibular nerve. Now coming to stapedius. So again from the name of the muscle, it is very evident. It is going to go and attach to your stapes bone. So if you take, this is your stapes bone. This portion alone is your stapes bone. Stapedius, we saw, we had a very beautiful bony little prominence in your posterior wall, if you remember, called as your pyramid. So it arises from pyramid along the posterior wall of your middle ear cavity. Insertion into your stapes bone. Okay, now there is one clinical correlation that you must know, that is called as hyperacusis. You can study from the textbook, but in simple I'll tell you, hyperacusis. So see, you would have studied in +1, +2, or if it is taught in physiology, the main role of middle ear cavity is to dampen the loud sounds. Okay, so what it will do, it is going to alter the frequency of the sound that is going to enter, because inner ear is going to be very sensitive. So if you are going to give large amount of sound, it is more prone for damage. So the middle ear cavity role is to just dampen the loud sounds. Okay, so how this dampening is happening is by contraction of both these muscles. So tensor tympani, stapedius, both has to contract simultaneously for dampening of loud sounds. Okay, now in some cases, due to some pathology, if this tensor tympani muscle is going to be paralyzed or affected, then what happens is even whispering sound can be heard as a loud sound by the patient. So usually what you would have heard in Tamil, you would have heard all these statements. Okay, so this you can relate with this. Okay, so you have two muscles which has to contract simultaneously for dampening of loud sounds. But if the tensor tympani muscle is going to be affected or paralyzed, then even the whispering sounds can be heard by the patient. That condition is called as hyperacusis. Hyper means more or abnormal, right? So abnormal hearing of sound is called hyperacusis. I hope I'm clear with the clinical anatomy also. So hyperacusis is better if you include under the muscles. Okay. Now we'll move on to blood supply. So as I always say, blood supply includes both your arterial and then your venous drainage. So if you take, these are the names, sorry, I did not get any picture. So we'll have an acronym beautifully. So anatomy physiology takes students sleepy. This is the acronym. I'm not supposed to put this, but still it is easy for you to remember. Okay. So anatomy physiology takes students sleepy. There we saw anatomy physiology cares for cranium. That is for your posterior wall relation. For a blood supply, anatomy physiology takes students sleepy. So A for anterior tympanic branch of your mandibular artery. P for petrosal branch of your middle meningeal artery. T for tympanic branch of your internal carotid artery. S for either you take this or you take this, no issues. Stylomastoid branch of posterior auricular artery and superior tympanic branch from middle meningeal artery. So you have two branches from middle meningeal artery, your petrosal branch and then superior tympanic branch. One from the very good artery, internal carotid artery, it is your tympanic branch itself. So always remember, since it is related to middle ear, you will have all the tympanic branches. Anterior tympanic branch, superior tympanic branch, tympanic branch. Mandibular artery, middle meningeal artery, internal carotid artery. And apart from that, you have posterior auricular artery branch, this is your stylomastoid branch, and then your petrosal branch of your middle meningeal artery. So shortest acronym, anatomy physiology, takes students TP. Venous drainage. So it is by your two group of plexus. That is, one is your pterygoid venous plexus. So if you take, this is your picture for pterygoid venous plexus. It was done already in your when facial vein was done. It should have been done for you. Second thing is your superior petrosal sinus. So this will be dealt in cranial cavity again. So venous drainage, pterygoid venous plexus, superior petrosal sinus. Next, lymphatic drainage, retropharyngeal lymph nodes, parotid lymph nodes, upper deep cervical lymph nodes. So all these you just have to memorize. These are last minute points to remember. If you're not able to remember, just imagine. Okay, just think of, so again, as I say, you need visualization. So just think, what are the lymph nodes you studied around the ear? Simply write that. Okay, so ear nearer, you know, you have your parotid. So write parotid lymph nodes. And you saw your middle ear cavity is related to your pharynx. So write pharyngeal lymph nodes. So retropharyngeal lymph nodes. Okay, and upper deep cervical, if you remember, you write. Okay. Now coming to nerve supply. So we saw, if you take the floor of your middle ear cavity, we saw a beautiful branch, tympanic branch of your glossopharyngeal nerve. It pierces the floor of the muscle and it is involved in the formation of tympanic plexus. So if you take your nerve supply is by these following nerves, tympanic branch of your glossopharyngeal nerve. So for a nerve supply, suppose if it is asked in essay, how you are supposed to present this? Name of the nerve, its area of supply. So if you take this tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve, it gives a sensory supply to your middle ear and then your auditory tube. Next, superior and inferior corticotympanic nerves. Okay, so this particular group of nerves, it is being derived from a sympathetic plexus that is present around the internal carotid artery. Again, I'll repeat. This group of nerves, that is your superior and inferior corticotympanic nerves, it is derived from a sympathetic plexus that is present around your internal carotid artery. So you know the internal carotid artery is related anteriorly to your middle ear cavity. So whatever plexus is present around, it is going to give rise to this branch. And this is going to be vasomotor. So they are the vasomotor nerve fibers arising from sympathetic plexus around your internal carotid artery. Next, of course, we saw so many canaliculus, all that. So regarding a facial nerve, so facial nerve and its branches. So what are the branches that is related to your tympanic cavities? Your chorda tympani nerve, which we saw anterior canaliculus, posterior canaliculus in the lateral wall, greater petrosal nerve, and nerve to stapedius. This is the nerve supplying your stapedius muscle. So your stapedius muscle is supplied by your facial nerve. Your tensor tympani is supplied by your mandibular nerve. The last one is about tympanic plexus. So this is just a picture to show you about the tympanic plexus. Okay, so you can just relate from your medial wall, this thing itself. Okay. So if you take your tympanic plexus is going to be formed by 3 set of nerves. Okay, so we'll just see the names and come back. So tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve. So related to your face. Sorry, so it's related to your floor of your middle ear cavity. Next, superior and inferior corticotympanic nerve. Just now I told from the sympathetic plexus is going to come. Okay, so from your anterior wall it comes. So superior and inferior corticotympanic nerves and branches from your facial ganglion. Okay, so if you take this picture, so if you take, this is your tympanic branch of your glossopharyngeal nerve that is related to your floor of your middle ear cavity. Next is your anterior wall. So here you are going to, this is your superior and inferior corticotympanic nerve. So coming from your internal carotid artery area, and you are going to have other branches from your facial ganglion. So tympanic plexus is formed by tympanic branch of glossopharyngeal nerve, superior and inferior corticotympanic nerves, and then your branches from your facial ganglion. Thank you. So please again, once you finish the session, immediately open your textbook, go to your boundaries and recollect the boundaries. Okay, so if possible, till you memorize. So you should be spontaneously telling all the relations. Until then, every day try to practice orally the boundaries and relations. I hope I made this session interesting, and I hope I made this session understandable also. So if you have any comments, any doubts or any suggestion as to how I should improve my session, you can very well post in the comment section. I'll be replying to that very soon. Thank you for your attention.